In this video, I'll explain you why you should still visit Nightmare Dungeons. And before you roll your eyes off or call me a crazy man, trust me, I used to hate them as well. I'm not a psychopath, or am I? If you're completely new to the game, let me give you just a little bit of context of how it was before. Before this season, literally, we used to upgrade our glyphs in Nightmare Dungeons. Max level was 21 for glyphs. It was a completely different system, and Nightmare Dungeons were the only place where you can level your glyphs, so you were forced to do them. And Nightmare Dungeons were commonly, widely hated. Why? Because they were considered quite tedious, badly designed. It was a lot of backtracking, a lot of dead ends, a lot of small missions that made little sense to the players, like take a stone from here and put it on a pedestal, take a box from one point, move it to another, you hit a locked door, then you have to backtrack like half a dungeon just to find the key, or and so on, like free the prisoners. Like it was a lot of going around, tedious small clicks here and there, and all that people wanted to do in Diablo. And in one of the end game activities actually is to hack and slash. So you want to go fast, zoom through it, kill everything that moves, get to the boss, kill the boss, that's it. And it was not the case. That's where the hate grows from. This season, there was a huge change, as you might know, and you should know if you play Diablo. Glyphs are no longer upgraded in Nightmare Dungeons. They are upgraded in the pit, which makes total sense. It was a good change. Then I think all of you had the same reaction as me. No more Nightmare Dungeon. Yay! But it was not to be. I said that now in Nightmare Dungeons, we will get the materials used for masterworking, and which were previously found in the pit. But before we got sad, there was another thing. We remember quite well from last season, in Infernal Hordes, we can get those materials for masterworking, so there is, again, no need to go into the Nightmare Dungeons, right? We tested it this season, it still dropped at a decent rate, and there is even more. If you have an expansion, there is Kurast Undercity, where is another place where you could get this Obducite, which is the single material now you need for masterworking. And when I said single one, I mean single specific for masterwork. Of course, you need like rawhide, iron pieces, and all the other common materials. So all that said, again, my first impression was, screw it. I will never do Nightmare Dungeons. Thank you very much. No, thank you. And that's what I did first days in the season, until I found out there is a catch. There is a hidden value in Nightmares, and actually after that I got kind of slightly addicted to it, and I spent a couple of hours just chain doing Nightmare Dungeon.
What?
So, what I'm talking about, why there is value. First of all, the drop rate of Obducite is not bad. It's competitive, it's completely competitive with Kurast and Helltides. You get on average on T4 around 1k Obducite per Nightmare Dungeon, and in Helltides with 10 waves you get around 3k per 500 Ether. But again, for a 10 waves Nightmare Dungeons is for a 10 wave Infernal Horde, you spend at least 12 minutes if you are extremely fast, and it's around 15 minutes if you are average players. And in that time you can do 5 to 7 Nightmare Dungeons. So when you put numbers together, it's more or less the same. Maybe Infernal Hordes have an edge, but it's not a big gap there. But you get other perks in Nightmare Dungeons. First of all, nowadays, since leveling is so long now, if you want to get to that Paragon 300, like it's a long grind now, it's not done in a couple of hours or a couple of days. You always want to have a XP buff. And where do we get the XP buff? We drink an elixir, and we drink or consume whatever, an opal. So we have 8% from one, or 5%, depend what elixir do you have, and you have, is it 7 from the other one? Doesn't matter. But those two buffs you want to keep always active. So every half an hour you drink one of those. And consuming an opal usually gives you some bonuses of some drop. Be it drop more gold, it drops more materials, it drops boss summoning items, and what's the fourth one? Something else drops there. And if you do Infernal Hordes, which give you a lot of XP, it's a very good place to grind the XP. When you do those, you lose basically the second part of a bonus of Opal, because monsters in Nightmare Dungeons. Monsters in Helltides, not Helltides, Jesus Christ! What is it? Infernal Hordes, of course. Monsters in Infernal Hordes don't drop loot. So you get the XP, so basically you're wasting your opal only for the XP bonus. You lose the second part of the bonus. That's why I strongly recommend you, whenever you grind Infernal Hordes for hours, use the gold opal only. The one that drops gold, because you lose only gold, and don't waste the precious one with the boss summoning materials and stuff, because then you just lose, you throw to the bin that bonus, and it's a waste. And when you do Nightmare Dungeons, you actually get the drops. So that's the first advantage, you get the whole bonus of opals. Also, in Nightmare Dungeons, whenever you do them, you can have this kind of keys with this bonus, Ancestor's Favor, which used to give extra glyph XP in the past, but now since we don't get glyphs in Nightmare Dungeons, this is transformed into 10% bonus to our XP. So again, you get an extra 10% bonus XP in the Nightmare Dungeons when you do them. But that's not all. The biggest thing and the biggest change is that there is a thing, an element of a game that is exclusive to Nightmare Dungeons. And you might not even know that it exists. And that's what I'm talking about. So if you look at this footage of me clearing a Nightmare Dungeons, you might see this thingy here. And it might look familiar to you if you played Diablo 3. Rings a bell? And yes, you are correct. And yes, you are seeing right. Don't rub your eyes. It is it. Pools of reflections are now in Diablo 4. They got here from Diablo 3 and they are wonderful. They can be found only in Nightmare Dungeons. And it's quite a rare, it's not a drop actually, a rare find. So you might have to do a couple until you find one. Much more rare than the ones in D3 when you know the location. So when you do the D16 rifts. And as you can see here, it's called Experience Well, so it's close to Pool of Reflection. And when we take it, it gives us, you'll see the buff. Let's clear that. So you can see here the buff. It gives 15% bonus XP for 1 whole hour. And this is wonderful. Also, I've tested it, so if you find more than one, they stack. So every time you find one, you'll get plus 1 hour to the buff duration. This is wonderful. And also, a big difference from D3, if you die, you don't lose them. So once you get it, for next hour, you have XP. And then you can optimize your way in grinding. So for example, you can grind a couple of Nightmare Dungeons until you get one of these. Once you get one of these, you pop it, and then you go and do your favorite activity, be it Infernal Hordes, be it Kurast Undercity, be it Helltides, it doesn't matter. And then once it expires, you get back to Nightmare Dungeons. Another thing you can do, you can grind Nightmare Dungeons for, say, for an hour, and not stop when you get first one. So you stack 2 or 3, and then you just blast next 2-3 hours in your favorite activity. It's up to you, and it's up to your free time or the gaming session you plan. So if you plan to play for a couple of hours, you can do that. If you know that you have like 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, once you find your first pool, just take it and then do your favorite activity. Or as well, you can just continue doing Nightmare Dungeons, because Nightmare Dungeons is a great source of XP as well, including the side events. As you know, it was a great method in the past, and it still is. And then you can find even more pools of reflection. Regarding them, what I strongly recommend you, we go back to the game, if you have the expansion, do the ones for Nahantu. So whenever you look at your keys, the Nahantu ones, they have their special key design. So it's this bouquet of herbs, whatever it is. Do them. Why? Because the new Nightmare Dungeons, the dungeons themselves and Nightmare version of it, of course, is they all have the same design, and they don't have these tedious mini quests. All they have, whenever you go into one of them, and we will do one later for demo purpose, Whenever you go there, you'll have just one objective. Explore the XXX, which is the name of a dungeon, and kill YYY, which is the name of a boss. So basically what they're saying, get into the dungeon, explore the dungeon, whenever you find the boss, kill the boss, you're done. And this is exactly what we wanted all the time from Nightmare Dungeons. You can do, of course, the other ones from the base game regions, but there you can still come across a lot of these mini quests and go to that room, do that, then go to the next room, kill all the enemies, so find 3 of these, 4 of that, gather animus, and so on. So it's much more tedious, and I do not recommend those if you have an expansion. Just melt all of this. Once you melt 1 key of this, you get like 30 sigil powder, and 1 key costs you 60. So every 2 keys transforms into a new one, recycle them, and you should get plenty of Nahantu keys as well. And then use those. It's much, much better. A little bit more information on Nahantu type of dungeons. Whenever you do them, during the search for the boss, whenever you explore it, you will come across, I think it's counted 4 different type of activities. So it might be either leverages that you pull, it's usually 3 or 4. Either it's dead bodies, and then you should click on them and search, and you'll find eventually a key. Either you'll have red skulls on the minimap, which means that those enemies will get you animus, so you have to gather animus. They will not be listed on the left here as additional objectives, so you'll not see anything, but you would want to do them because all of those will grant you access to a chamber. It's not a secret chamber, but to a separate chamber, which is a treasure chamber. Fourth activity, I think, is to grab a stone and put it on a pedestal. I think it's that one, if I'm not mistaken. So, and it's always like this 4 rotating. So whenever you go there, you'll find one of these. And this is completely optional, so if you don't feel it like this, don't do it. Or if you did like 2 or 3 and you can't find the 4th, or you already found the boss, it's up to you. You can backtrack and do the treasure room, or you can just skip it and do the boss and do next. Depends on you. How do you want to play? Do you want to play it extra fast? Do you want to chill? Treasure room is nice. It gives you additional loot, but also it gives you like 200-300 of Obducite as well. So I tend usually to do them. But again, sometimes you might it might come across a quite big dungeon, and then you get to the boss room, and then you're just too lazy to go back. It's absolutely up to you, so just make a decision from dungeon to dungeon. Now, let's see it in practice. So I can start with crafting demo. So as I was saying, all you want is just to salvage these normal ones. Unless it's with 10% more experience, maybe those you want to save, but everything else, which is not ancestor, Jesus, so many ancestor favor, gold find, this, and you can see it's always 30 per sigil. So we melted 4 of them. We can do 2 keys. I can do more because I have more, but that's the math. So it's 30 when you salvage and a 60 to craft, as you can see, and then you can do like 4 or 5 is whatever. And if we go here, you can see from 5 we got 3 Nahantu. So it's quite often when you get them. Sometimes you'll get 0, sometimes you'll get 1, it doesn't matter, but it's pretty easy to craft them. And then you just take 1 and go. Another advantage here I forgot to mention also, because it's a new season, it's a new region, it's the expansion, you also need renown in Nahantu. No one of us had renown of Nahantu beforehand, as we did from previous season for a normal game. And by doing this, you are killing 2 birds with 1 stone, or with 1 key, should I say, because slowly, one by one, when you do them, you will cover the dungeons in Nahantu. So every time you have one that is not yet completed, as you can see here, you will get 30 renown for that. So you're getting renown, and you are getting like a better quality Nightmare Dungeons as well, because of lack of these mini quests and stuff. Find the boss, kill the boss. That's it. Okay, let's do one. And I'll cover the puzzle part for the treasure room. Let's take a random one, doesn't matter. For example, this one. Iron Centopipe, as you can see, I've completed it, but it doesn't matter. This is a cave type. A lot of times you'll get like this large layouts as well. Makes no difference, but as you can see, it's explore where, as I was saying, dungeon name and then kill boss name. It's always like this in Nahantu. All the nightmare dungeons have the same objective, which is basically no objective. Once we go through, you can see here, this is the treasure room. We found it already. It's always closed by one mechanic, and judging of the door, I think it will be with a key. We should see. If we get dead bodies, it will be with a key. Can be leverages and or other two types of mechanics. And you can see that during this you get a lot of materials, including Obducite, the one for masterworking. Where do you miss any turn? Yeah, maybe it was that way. So sometimes it's like this, and that might be a case when you don't want to backtrack. So maybe if I went to the right, the key was there, I don't know, but maybe we will end up there as well. So don't despair, just continue, because all that you need here in the end is the boss. So that room is optional. I think we might have missed it probably. Oh no, here we go. We have this. Will it drop animals? Let's see. No, those were just marked for some reason. It's weird. Last wave will take. Usually when it will be marked like this with red skulls or minimap, it will be the ones that drop animals and then you have to deposit. But that door we've seen that it's not with unearthed. I might go back just for the demonstration purpose to see if we had the key on the right, because I missed a turn there. And of course, don't run it like me. Just drink a potion and an elixir and an opal all the time, so you have those bonus XP. And here we go, it's the boss. So at this point, you would have a decision to make. Either you want to go to that room, either you just kill the boss and finish the dungeon. For the mechanics purpose, I would go back just to see if we get the corpses and the keys, because that's what I assume, and I assume that it's on that right turn. So it was close, but we just took the wrong turn. Let me just exit the dungeon and enter from the entrance, so we save backtracking time. But usually don't have to do it. Like if you end up in this scenario, most of the time it's more efficient. Just go forward, kill the boss. You'll get the room in the next one. Back to the entrance, and let's see on the right. I assume it will be the corpses, so this is the easiest one. Sometimes it will be just levers, and it's like 3 or 4 that you can have to click on them. Yeah. Is it? Oh no, it's stone switch. Okay. So it's another mechanic. It's always one of the mechanics, but it's pretty intuitive and it's always marked on the map, as you can see, so you can't really miss it. Let's see if it's only one. Reach it. We get there. There is no. Usually you'll get like a circle indicating that the door is open, but I think it's not the case yet. Let's see if we have more. Yeah. Or not. What is this? The corpse. That's a side event. Okay, let's do the side event as well. And that's what I was telling you. This is extra XP. Usually when you have your bonuses here up, you do a lot of XP in 1 minute or 1.5 minutes, depends on the event. And you'll get a chest with obols. And obols this season are very OP because gambling is crazy OP. You can get all the uniques in the game faster than farming the bosses actually. And cheaper considering that obols is very easy to get. And also you even have a chance to get the mythic uniques from gambling. Crazy. And there were cases already when it happened. So again, it's a lot of gain on again, it's a lot of gain. a lot of value in doing this side quests in not quests but side events in Nightmare Dungeons. Here we go. We'll get, you can see the obols, and you get also Obducite and other materials. Let's see the last one. Maybe that was only one that was needed. And the door is already open. We'll check, but let me just check. No, there is more, as you can see. We have 2, and then we have 3. 3 might be enough. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it's marked, and you can see that it's open. So now you can go to the room. Not the best example, but also it's nice that we got the side event and stuff, and sometimes it will go faster, sometimes it will go slower, and it all depends. And a lot of times you'll get not this tunnel model, but you'll get like big, large Nightmare Dungeons, like the layout, so it will be even easier. As you can see, it's like a couple of monsters, and then you have this resplendent chest, which drops quite like good loot. And also Obducite, you can see it's up like 256 this time. It's like in between 200 and 300 from what I tested. And also, which is not less important, we get runes here as well quite often, so that's another source. And let's kill the boss and finish that. Okay, we go to the boss. Boom. What? Execute. Here we go. Ancestral with double. Sometimes even for completion, you'll get the key, because you always get a key. You'll get a key from Nahantu again. So sometimes it's like a loop. And again, more runes. Sometimes good loot. And that is why, guys, you should not sleep on Nightmare Dungeons. Let's keep it short and sweet. I really hope it was helpful. If you have more questions or comments, please leave them underneath in the comments. I always read them. I will gladly ask you. Answer you, of course. And see you guys in the next one. Have a nice one. Cheers.